Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech Productions. Today I'm back off being joined once again by Jake, Trevor, and like always, Fluff.
What's going on, y'all?
Hello. What's going on, people?
And like always, there's buttons down below. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. Today's matchup is me against Trevor, Son Gohan, taking on the Majin Buu. Now, since you all saw both these decks earlier this week, so we're going to go straight into it. Trevor, you played a red matchup prior to playing against me. So how do you feel about going against another red deck?
I think this matchup in particular, I felt more comfortable in just continuing my usual line of play, especially with a couple of the changes that I made to the deck. Just because this deck, as far as like my understanding of it going into it, doesn't really reduce power to 0 as much as something like Jiren or King Vegeta does. And even in those matchups, assuming it's not the crazy aggro King Vegeta, being reduced to 0 power for me at this point with the changes I've made isn't the end of the world. Just because of the amount of resource that I get off of it, and I definitely pull it off in this game. So.
Yeah, going into this matchup, because we played, if I'm correct, we played last week when I was using Super 17. And so I kind of had an idea what you were doing, but you immediately, I'm not going to say you changed the whole deck, but you kind of pivot a huge section of it. You still kept the 4-drop line, but you added the more discarding effects and drawing effects.
Yeah, the drawing effects I think is really the difference maker for this deck is because you really want to see very specific cards from turn 2 on. And the changes that I made to the deck really help that. And in just about every matchup, you're going to get it out either turn 2 at the latest, probably turn 3. Even if they aren't swinging at your leader, you're still going to be able to get set up the way that you want to get set up. And I need to, over the coming weeks, especially with Gen Con coming up, practice the aggro King Vegeta matchup and see how I need to adjust my line of play and figure that all out.
Yeah.
Well, outside of that matchup, I just kind of wanted to speak on how well your draw engine actually works once you get it going. It's about as potent as Roshi Shin if both of them are on the table. If long time to the game or that combo. And I really think green typically has trouble keeping a large hand size. And with this new Majin Buu and King Cold, it looks like green is getting more into a little bit more of the card draw design space. And I think that's a good place for green to be.
Yeah, and that's mostly because previously all of green's best cards in most people's eyes require you to drop a card or get the card into the drop, like Rebriand, Punishing Passion, Dormant Potential Unleashed, the new Buu Topo. All those cards were Vegeta Unison. All these cards require you to drop a card to get the strong effects that are on these generically good green cards. So that's why I think in this particular setup that this is going to be probably the best way playing this deck forward, in my opinion. From even a bunch of people have put out deck profiles recently that I think are kind of on the right track, but they try and force hand destruction a little bit too much. And I think other decks draw so much that you can't hand destruction enough with their versions of the deck to warrant the choices they're making.
That's interesting. So you can't really go deep enough to fight the draw power that's in the meta. So you just decided to add draw power yourself. That's a really aware choice you've made.
Mm-hmm. And think it was around like turn 4 or so in this match. I would say this Buu Topo, and in most matchups, Bancroft has an insane hand, and he would probably feel comfortable just pushing. But then he made the comment, I think 2 turns in a row, you have so many cards in your hand, and just pass.
Well, when we get to that point, I'll kind of go more into that.
Bancroft, tell us about this Frieza Unison. I really like the design of it.
So I didn't get a chance to use it against Jimmy, and truth be told, it may have been a little bit more useful against him. But the Frieza itself has an auto when your opponent attacks. Once per turn, you can combo with a skillless card from your drop area, immediately go right into it. And then the leader has the ability to Spirit Boost, give it additional 6k power boost. And then if you remove a marker from the Frieza using Spirit Boost, it negs a card by 10. That's how I was able to kind of slow Trevor down a little bit. And I think that may have helped out in some of these turns because you had to tap out for that. But you can still dormant if you wanted to, which I think is what you do anyways on turn 3. But, and then as you saw, once it's removed from the Unison area going to the drop, it plays the 2-drop. But he's able to eat that with the Majin Buu, which is still fine. So I just subbed it out for the Piccolo immediately afterwards.
This Piccolo Unison is insane. Especially in this matchup, as I've found out in another match I played this weekend. That auto, I've been blessed. I've not played against a whole lot of King Piccolo. So I did not realize this auto was not once per turn when you encounter.
It is ridiculous because of that.
So he just it allows, especially my usual line of play. I play this deck more like a blue deck, a lot more counter heavy. So he basically is able to just clean up my board every single turn on the defense side, as we see happen here.
Oh no!
And I immediately followed up with a Yamcha to just get rid of both that and the blocker he put out.
My goodness.
Yeah, I think Yamcha really is one of those cards that as the game moves along, that card is just going to get better and better. It's really found a new awakening since, to me, since set 14 really came out.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing about the Piccolo Unison.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Good thing they reprinted Yamcha in the starter decks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's not. It's not a shiny, so it really throws me off when I look at it.
Yeah, it looks weird.
I think here I was stumped on my present line of play because I'm kind of looking at my hand and I'm thinking I need a different card than I have in my hand. So I think I swing here first just to try and put some pressure on the Unison. Because I know it gives my deck a little bit more trouble than I want to
and that's
play around.
Yeah, that's why I'm going my way to protect it. So I negged your leader by 15, so you just passed it up pretty much. The and getting rid of your Unison helps out a lot too. So now I know, like, if you wanted to play Dormant, you have to tap energy for it. And I know you typically prefer the Topo Boo instead. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and as you can expect to see, there it is.
And I immediately just blow it up.
Yep, you blow it up off the Piccolo, which is fine. It's still serving its purpose.
So the reason why I chose not to continue pushing, I did have a decent hand. I think it might be the only push I do this turn, is I wasn't seeing a lot of negates. And that was a misplay, and we corrected it in a second. I have 5 life, so I just wasted a super combo. It happens. I got caught up in the moment on that one, and that's why I think I did that. I was like, I can just super combo, draw 2 cards real quick, and be just fine. But I wasn't seeing a lot of negates, and I wanted to keep what was in my hand in case I needed to combo out of something.
Yeah.
And I think I just passed at that. Like, I debated about attacking, but I decided not to in the end.
Yeah, you saw that Topo Boo come up a lot in mine and Jimmy's game this week, and it's basically just your turn's over, buddy.
Yeah.
Kind of card.
In most situations, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that the floodgate text is within the green counter is huge. It makes it way better than like red topo or something.
And also, I feel like you yourself had managed to recover a decent sized hand by this point as well. So it's kind of hard to do that challenge if your opponent has a decent sized hand as well. Because you're almost wasting more resources than your opponent in some cases. Because, I'm just swinging discard 2 cards. If I want to hit, I have to combo out of it, or combo up a little bit. Maybe just add 1 card, it's 3 cards here, and you could just super combo potentially, and that nulls out the 3 cards I just wasted to do 1 attack,
Yep.
So you get your chain going back up, which is pretty nice. But you can't play tokens, right?
Correct, because I don't have the Unison to Spirit Boost down on. But the Freeze Army Healing Pod is the main change I made to the deck, just because you can play this 4-drop from the drop area, and you basically draw 1 off of it, and then if you have the Vegito Unison also on board, you draw 2 off of it.
Which is really nice.
Which you are either doing completely free, because your Buu Topo stuck on the board on your opponent's turn, and you just Union Absorb for free, draw 2. Or you tap 1, play one of the guys, draw 1, Union Absorb, 4-drop plays, draw 2 off of the 2 cards. So you basically drew 3 for 1 energy, which you're not going to get that kind of value anywhere else in the game.
It's insane.
And I'm in the same situation. Like I said, I'm not seeing many negates, and I don't want to waste his resources, so I just don't continue pushing. I get myself at 5 energy. That's kind of like a nice little padding, I feel like. And I'm still at 5 lives, so I can take a couple hits and be just fine.
I know a lot of people were afraid of Frieza's Healing Pod becoming broken with the reborn hit leader, or the rebooted hit leader. And I really feel like Trevor has honed in and identified like the minor components of what is now going to be the new generic green system of that Buu, the Vegeta Unison, and Healing Pod. Just for recurrent draws, and it's small enough that you can add in whatever other system that you want to play in that deck.
Yeah, and with the green Topo Boos having Union, it's just a tech piece that enables your engine already.
Yeah.
I found, I think Bancroft played this exactly the way he needed to at the beginning of the game. He saw my Vegito Unison at 2 or 3 markers early on, and I think that's the best way of handling this deck in its current state, is just removing that Unison as quickly as possible, just to kind of slow down the defensive free plays or free counters, the defensive, and then obviously the offensive pressure that it gives via the draw engine that kind of is built into this deck at this point. So I think his correct line of play was there in the beginning, and it kind of forced me into playing a lot more passively on his turns and making sure I left energy open to kind of handle what was coming my way each turn.
So I chose to take that crit as a risk, and I forgot that was a Violent Ray. That's awesome.
Oh no.
Yeah. That could have been helpful. Just at least seeing one negate. Because the one I saw, I charged, at this point.
Is this the new green Android 18?
No, it's old, actually.
This card played a lot recently.
Well, they brought it back for the starter decks.
Oh, okay. How do you feel about this card in the decks that's currently being played, G and Gohan and things like that?
So for Gohan, in my opinion, it's a great turn 1 play. Like, you charge 1 energy, you pass your opponent, they swing at you, you pay the energy to combo her, you draw 1 card, and now you have a battle card in rest mode, and you go into your turn, you wasted really no energy in that case on your for your turn to play that card.
Really takes me back to the days of like playing double shot Vegeta in Pan.
Yeah. Six energy in a very interesting situation. He topo me again. And I'm just drawing cards to build up some more resource. And I know for your following turn, you're already at 5 energy. It could be a very slippery slope if I decide to push. And I go ahead and I think pass just to keep what's in my hand as resource. Keep my energy where I need it in case I need to tap stuff for other cards. Because for you, with 6, is it 6 energy now? Yeah. Like, you have a lot of plays you could do. Like, I've seen what Buu could do. I know you have access to the 5-drop Buu. I know you play, obviously, the other Vegeta Unison because you charged it. You can, if I were to, actually, you may not have had it in your hand, but you could have no, it's not a battle card swing. I forgot about that. You could potentially have your secret rare in your hand, which if I negate, you could just play it right out.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember what was in my hand here. I know I had a lot in my hand.
Yeah.
But this is where we realized that I should have put that back in your drop area, so I just took it again via the spirit boost on the leader to gain the crit.
Nice.
Here I was kind of honestly just trying to bait out a counter from you, because obviously I had no idea that you weren't seeing any counters, because I've not seen you use any.
Yeah.
Other than one Wolfang Fist this game.
Yes.
So I was like, he has to have some in there. So I'm trying to fish them out here. Is like my thought process.
And that's what you need to do.
Looks like there's a Cyberman negate in his energy. So that's 2 he's seen.
As actually, I think it was my first charge, I think. First or second. Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't need this. I'll see something later down the road. Now, granted, if I would have negated that, you wouldn't have been able to play your secret route off that, though. So that was a very dangerous swing if I had one, either Violent Ray or my Topo myself, which I think you could have pushed the Topo challenge with your hand if you wanted to. I'm not sure if you would have, though.
It all just kind of depended on what your life was at versus like what I had on board, of course. Like if I only had like single strikers, I might not do it. But if I had like 1 or 2 double strikes available, then I probably would have pushed through the Topo challenge at that point.
Yeah. And I think the reason this game has gone on so long is that both of these decks, while they're kind of low to the ground, neither one is in a super big rush to end the game. Like, you see Trevor's very happy to just continue to play Boos and draw cards, and from there just kind of gain advantage and try and suss out what's in Bancroft's hand. And likewise, Bancroft is pretty happy to just combo U7s and keep drawing cards and keep building markers on his Piccolo for when he finally decides to try and wipe the board.
Well, the draw is only once per turn, unfortunately. For the U7.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His army pod's once per turn as well, so.
That's true.
Yeah. So I mainly did this to try and just build a board and start swinging into him, get him down to 2 life. Felt comfortable at that point playing what I played. Combo out here.
Sparking negates?
Me? No.
Or either player.
There's enough free negates inside my deck that I don't play the sparking negates.
Yeah, so I think overwhelming here is perfectly fine. You're forcing him to combo a lot.
Yeah. And I couldn't do anything. Yeah. The other Violent Ray was in my life as well. Like I said, I've changed the deck up since this match as well, because I felt in Jimmy's match, I realized that I was missing a key card for this deck, and that's opposing presence. So I've adjusted my negates. I've adjusted to have one more kind of boss card to play when I need to, or potentially a board wipe card. And I felt like my changes are definitely better suited now. But yeah, it just sometimes you just don't see anything. I was hoping maybe at least see 2 negates, because I knew if I could play like Tobo first to get the Secret Rare played, then I can immediately just follow up with the Violent Ray, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't. One got crit, and I never saw any more after that, or the one I charged. But it happens. And with that being said, hope you all enjoyed today's video. Keep in mind, there's buttons down below and on the screen while Fluff does the outro.
Yeah, click on one of the 4 videos floating around here. I think both of these decks have a ton of potential. Like, I've really enjoyed seeing the evolution of Buu from being like a dedicated Buu deck to kind of this now draw hybrid aggressive strategy that it has been. And I really think that Gohan has its place. I just don't think Gohan's found its footing yet. And I think that'll come more once, if like an emergency ban list were to hit something like King Vegeta. I think Gohan then has an opportunity to step up and maybe show a little bit more of itself from a competitive standpoint. But as always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. And as always, Fluff out.